Hi, I'm Brian Brial, Executive Director, Holmes Camp and Retreat Center. I wanted to tell you about something that happened last night. I wanted to share something with you. In order to do it, I need to be somewhat vulnerable with you. And as Brene Brown says, we need to lean into our vulnerability. And that's exactly what I intend to do. Because I think there's a message that some might need to hear. Some might think it's silly, some might think it's obvious, and others might need to hear what I experienced last night. Now, before I tell you about that, you need to know something about me. I've gotten to know a lot of the people at Holmes at different levels, and a lot of you I haven't even met yet, or maybe I've met once or twice. So this is one of those intimate things. I'm a crier. I cry. Anybody that knows me is not surprised by this. In fact, it's kind of a thing. People joke about it with me in pretty much every social circle I've ever been with. And I take it well, because I know that crying is a gift. And crying is in fact a strength, which makes it ironic that so many people associate it with weakness. So I cry at poetry, I cry at songs, I cry at sunsets, and I also cry whenever something moves me in sadness as well. And I have a friend who once said to me, "Thank God we can cry." So this is what happened to me last night. The world's in a rough position, and I was sitting on my couch, and with no particular trigger, I suddenly had this impulse to cry about everything. And I stopped myself, and I pulled myself back, and there was this automatic, conditioned response not to give in to crying. And then I got over it, like you do. And I thought later, what was that impulse? And I realized there were two things going on. One, we, particularly those of us who identify as male, but everyone, have been taught that to cry is a symbol of weakness, that to cry is somehow not for grown-ups. We've all heard people say, "I hate to see a grown man cry." That's a cliche we've all heard. The second reason I think is because crying puts us in touch with our pain. And we already have our pain, and we don't want to touch it, because as soon as we touch it, it washes over us, and we have that feeling that we will be consumed by it. If we lean into it, if you give into it and just let yourself be taken with it, what's happening is you are actually feeling your feelings, you're processing them, there's a catharsis that happens, and you end up stronger on the other side. If you are all alone, you may be wishing that you were with other people. If you're with other people in the isolation, you may be wishing you were alone. But whether you're with people or not, remember that crying is a gift, and crying is strength. And that you will end up feeling better and ready to move on and unstuck because of the catharsis. So if you feel the impulse, and I'm not saying that everything is bad, there's probably some good things that have come out of this change for all of us. Although it's a hard time. If you feel the impulse, I urge you, go with it. Let yourself enter into it fully. So I'm going to close with a Bible verse. I'm going to do it from heart. I'm going to say the whole thing from beginning to end. It's from John 11, I think. Here it goes. Jesus wept. Stay safe, and peace to you. I once had a friend look at me and say, "So basically you're saying you cry at the drop of a hat," to which of course the only reply was, "Well, if it's a pretty hat." I'm looking at you, Sam, you cracked me up.